I saying? Right. Okay, so the best of for Codex Added. By the time we upload this episode of this podcast, it'll be like it'll be like a week or so. But as we're recording this, you just uploaded the April.
Yes, I'm a little behind.
A little behind, but at this point, it's like, I don't know. It's like that one magazine that's always like that. I feel like there's always that one, or there's that one magazine that's always 2 months ahead somehow.
You want the December issue of Vogue?
Yeah, like the sports games. The 2020 version is the one that always comes. I don't know. It doesn't matter. You just uploaded the best of Codex Added live stream compilation onto Codex Added, where this podcast goes up on YouTube. I watched those, and I've seen most of the best ofs, but I had not seen the I don't know how else to reference it. The 15-year-old conversation where you're streaming a Sailor Moon, what is it, GBA game or something?
It was SNES.
SNES Sailor Moon game, and a bunch of people probably watch these. If anyone doesn't, it's just a Sailor Moon game that is there's no voices, so Caitie benevolently comes up with random voices to voice the characters. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, and there's the one where like I was told that like, age of consent in Japan's like 16, I think, or something like that. It's like really low, so it's like in Japan it'd be like, okay, she's sort of close to the age of consent. And then this old guy is like creepily hitting on her, but in America that is definitely not the case. So it did not aged well, let me tell you. And like in the game kind of plays it for yucks, like, oh, this old man thinks she's hot. Oh, he's 60. That's hilarious. So me at the time is like, holy shit, I can't believe this is happening right now.
And it just worked so brilliantly because when you start these, you see the new character, you come up with a new voice. You didn't know that it was going to go this direction when you came up with this super silly voice for the guy. So you had to keep it up.
Oh, God, I couldn't handle it.
So it's like the most perverted, creepiest thing ever, and you're doing like this ridiculous voice for it.
Well, to be fair, I think I broke character because I was laughing so hard. Because not that I think that behavior's okay, but like I just didn't know how to respond other than laugh.
I think everyone just kind of laughed at the ridiculousness of the fact that like they put it on Front Street. Like they don't even beat around the bush. At one point the guy goes, "How old are you?" And she goes, 15. And he goes, "Perfect."
Yes. My favorite one was, "Oh, your birthday's September 10th. You're a Virgo the Virgin, aren't you?"
That's right. You're a Virgo the Virgin. I'm like, whoa. Like, I think this is like a subreddit that got banned from Reddit like 7 years ago. That's how bad this is not aged.
It was not good. Okay, now Jordan, here's the quest. How can we relate this back to what we're talking about today?
You know what? There's a couple of paths, and I don't want to try. Okay. Wait. Well, today I can try. Okay. Today we're going to be talking about companions in Dragon Age Origins, specifically. Fuck, I can't do this. There's no way. There are a lot of romance options in Dragon Age Origins, but you should definitely not be romancing in this context of 60-year-old guy, 15-year-old. Holy shit, Caitie. We've had some bad transitions in the history of this show. That's the worst one ever. That's the worst one anyone's ever done.
Well, hey, we made it like, 46, 7 episodes before.
The fucking Boom Goes the Dynamite guy thinks that was awkward.
That's the one sports reference I'm going to understand, probably.
And Boom Goes the Dynamite. Okay, we're talking about companions today, Caitie.
Indeed. We also, we talked about it, we decided to create our own scale. On a scale of 1 to 7 interestings. How good is a companion? I'm assuming 1 is the worst and 7 is the best, right?
Yeah, and we also talked a little bit before we started about like why we kind of want to use this, and it just kind of falls, without going into the whole deal, 4 should not be taken as bad. Like, I'm a real big believer in using an entire number scale. I just don't like the fact that review systems do a 1 out of 10, and then anything below a 7 is bad. So in our scale, we're using the full scale. 4 is not bad. 3 is not even necessarily bad. It's just not great. 2 and 1, that would be not good, I would say.
Yes. We haven't given behind the curtain, we haven't given that this much thought, so this is a kind of spur of the moment. But I'm thinking 4 different categories: the actual character, how they act, the romance, the playability, how that person actually plays in game, and if they're helpful or not. Definitely. And then the actually execution of the writing and the voice acting.
Oh, I love it. That's perfect. Yeah.
All right. And then I'll keep track via my handy dandy scratch sheet of paper I pulled out of my hoard on my desk. And I'll keep track and we can see which one does the best. I should also say this is kind of a requested episode. And if I was a better person, I would have looked up that name.
Fucking balls, because I was going to do the same thing, because someone did totally bring it up on Twitter. And when they mentioned it, I was like, wait, really? We haven't done this already? And it's such an obvious idea.
Yeah, this is one of those things where, I feel like at one point we talked about doing this, and we're like, that's a good idea, and then it just never materialized. But, I'll be honest, we've done enough episodes now where I don't remember what we've done anymore.
Yeah, seriously, when this came up, I was like, oh, no, yeah, we've done that. And then I had to go back and look through, and I was like, oh, no, wait, I don't think we have.
Yeah, this is new. I do want to give a shout out to that one person, so, give me a hot second to find this.
I'm looking for it, too.
Okay, well, we'll see who gets it first.
Ashy Paints.
Ashy Paints.
I guess I am in, let me just post, I guess I'm in art account. Ash. This person goes by Ash. Okay, so we found it. We both looked for this. We wanted to find the person who gave us this suggestion on Twitter. This comes from Ash, Ashy Paints on Twitter. Basically just said they listened to the podcast episodes multiple times, and they noticed that we've never done a Mass Effect or Dragon Age Companions episode. Great suggestion, Ash, because that's totally a good idea, and we just, for some reason, never got around to it. So,
a big heart to you. Thank you for listening. Mwah.
Thank you.
All right, so, hold on. Did you know I have a lot of paper on my desk? Too much paper on my desk.
I used to have that, and so this is my system now. There's a filing cabinet next to my desk, and so now all the paper is just on the filing cabinet. I literally just pushed it over 8 inches, and now it feels like my desk is clean.
You know what? I respect that. I have such a small work area that I don't have the luxury of getting a little filing cabinet, but you know what? I am jealous. So, all right. I guess we should go in order of when they're recruited, right?
I was going to say that makes perfect sense, yes.
All right, let's start with Alistair then.
Woohoo, Alistair, our boy.
Alistair, your boy. So, I guess we'll just start with the actual personality. Alistair's personality, I feel like, is hit or miss with some people. Pretty much every woman I've ever talked to loves him, and because he's so cute and lovable. But then they got people like Michael who found him kind of too. I don't want to say annoying because it's not quite the word, but too naive, and that I know that bothered Michael. And I think, and now I'm totally saying this, I don't know if this is true for him. I think it bothers Michael because it reminds Michael of himself. Because when I met Michael, he was a lot like Alistair. I know he's going to hate that I said that.
And first of all, Michael, you're my boy. I love you, Michael Jordan podcast. But that's 100% correct.
Yeah. So
because I would say the exact same thing. Also, it's 100%.
Yeah. So I think that you either were Alistair and don't like Alistair because he reminds you of you, or you like Alistair.
That is precisely what I think it is, and it's why I've always loved the hardening of Alistair, because I think it is such a uniquely wonderful player-led character development that is genuine. You force him to buck up in a tough time, and the impact short term is hey man, why are you doing this to me? I thought we were friends, but long term it helps him. So I love that.
Yeah, I don't really like hardening Leliana. People talk about hardening Leliana and Alistair because I guess it's the same game mechanic, but I think it's totally different experiences. Hardening Alistair is just letting the man grow up, and then hardening Leliana is hey, maybe you should murder more. That sounds like a cool idea, right?
I know this is interesting. I guess I don't know, maybe we shouldn't try and jump to and from characters too much, but I feel like it's naturalistic as well, where You could almost make the argument that, and I'm not saying it's bad from a writing standpoint, I think it's brilliant from a writing standpoint, but I think you could almost make the argument that Leliana regresses in some sense as a character throughout the trilogy, if you want to say that, in that you could kind of make the argument that Leliana has reached a really important place of peace at the beginning of Dragon Age Origins, where she's giving up this life of crime and violence and all this other stuff, and she's sort of trying to get to a more transcendence, a really pretentious word, but she's trying to sort of elevate herself beyond the tools that she knows how to use, which are very expedient, which is stealing and violence. And by the end of Inquisition, she's like full-blown spy master. Now, granted, she's doing it for a noble cause, but she's using all the fucking tools of violence and spycraft that she has at her disposal. You could almost make the argument that she sort of falls back into old ways.
I agree, but I think there's also man, we really should maybe we should just start talking about Leliana. I almost think that like
our rating of Alistair is fuck him. Let's talk about Leliana.
Some more L's like hell yeah. But I think that I completely agree with you, but I also think it's also like speaking to her relationship with the divine Justinia, whose name is Dorothea. There it is. And how that even though Leliana tried to get away from Marjolaine, she essentially fell into the arms of Dorothea, and she kind of like Dorothea kind of became the Marjolaine figure for Leliana a little bit in like trying to steer her towards a way that maybe she shouldn't be, and then also Dorothea regretting that, which I think is Leliana's personal quest. And so you can either tell Leliana again, like, look, Dorothea regretted this, and this shouldn't be your life, and she wanted to let you go and like be who you're supposed to be, which is like the holy route, or to say, fuck it, man, this happened twice now, just admit it, you like murder. So that's how I see the quest, at least.
You're 100% right. That is a really brilliant take. You took the words out of my mouth as far as talking about her relationship with Justinia and how that is sort of the difference, but you just blew my fucking mind with the comparison to Marjolaine and how essentially Leliana falls back into the same pattern of being used as a tool. And in some sense, her work with the Inquisition is actually, it kind of does signify an element of growth, because now she really is kind of her own person.
Which is why I like to make her divine, because I think that completes her story arc. Like, she's not a tool any longer.
You're fucking so right. I've never supported Leliana divine. You're blowing my... it helps to have a fucking Leliana expert. Your Leliana profile is like one of your most viewed videos. It kind of makes sense.
Well, it wasn't a really Leliana profile. That was something else. But...
Well, isn't it your theory and the profile one that...
No, it's just the theory. I haven't actually done the profile one. Here, but I'll quickly do one before this video comes out, so you're right.
Everybody go watch that one. No, you're totally right. That is a really good take on Leliana. We should jump back to Alistair real quick to give our boys some love.
We totally forgot about Alistair. Okay, well, actually, here's a quick question we should have for the series. Are we only talking about them, because this is with Leliana, are we only talking about them in the context of this game? Because that's a whole different ballgame for a lot of these characters.
I think that we should only, like, in other words, when we get to Inquisition, we're not going to talk about Leliana again because she's not a companion. She's an advisor. So I think it is fair to talk about, if we're talking about something, some event or some aspect of them in the game that we're talking about, but we're trying to connect to their progression throughout the other games, I think that's fair. So for instance, we're talking about Alistair in Dragon Age Origins, but if we talk about, going back to the discussion about hardening, if we talk about the implications of him becoming king, I think it's fair to reference DA2 and Inquisition.
Okay. I feel like that's going to get more complicated when we get to Varric, but that's a problem for later, Caitie.
Oh, that's right, fucking Varric.
Who cares? Okay,
That's a
we
problem
don't need to worry
for
about
future
it now.
Homer.
Yeah, future Homer.
That's a Simpsons thing.
Oh, okay. Okay, so anyway, Alistair character. So what do you prefer? Do you prefer a kingly Alistair or a warden Alistair?
Well, so that's an important question, but I do just want to tack on a little bit to what you said first about women tend to like him. He's kind of divisive. I think Alistair is just he's just awesome. I think he's a real breath of fresh air. Not even when you first meet him, but if you were to pitch someone Alistair on paper, as far as, technically he's royalty, He's been a Templar. Now he's a or Templar in training. He's a Grey Warden, so he's part of all these prestigious orders. He's skilled in combat. He's got royal blood. You would be thinking stereotypical knight in a fantasy game, first companion, and his actual personality blows all of those expectations out of the water. He's totally subversive to an archetype that he would otherwise fit very nicely into if it weren't for his actual personality. And he doesn't necessarily like all of it, right? Like, he's fine being a Grey Warden, but he kind of bitches about it. He wasn't necessarily big on being a part of the Chantry. He kind of, in some cases, doesn't want to be king, doesn't want to fulfill this sort of stereotypical destiny type character that he would be otherwise. I think he's brilliant in that aspect. So yeah, I love him from that standpoint.
I think he really, I think because of his upbringing, because, he was kind of grew up away from court, and he was always kind of Arl Eamon's bitch of a wife was like, oh, Tegan, people think he's your son, he needs to go. So send him away. So he had a lot of resentment for nobility in that sense. And then, the Chantry was a pile of dog shit to him, so he didn't like that either. So I think he really flourished in the Warden. So I think he has a big love for that order. But yeah, he really does not want to be king unless you harden him, and then also try to give him some choices on I don't really want to kill Loghain. And that's the first time he steps in and goes, nope, I'm going to be king to make sure this bastard pays, because he hurt the Wardens. So I feel like him and his relationship with the Wardens is kind of, depending on your choices, what really makes him step up to really fulfill his duty, so to speak, if you want to think of it that way.
I agree. I agree with that. I think that his personal story is better remaining a Warden. I think that that's really what he wants. There's just another part of me that I love the politics. I love the Landsmeet. The Landsmeet in Dragon Age Origins is one of my favorite things in any Bioware game ever. I think it's fucking awesome. I just kind of hate the idea that allowing Anora to rule kind of feels like Loghain winning in some sense. And so I'm always like, if I'm a human noble, I'm like, all right, well, I get to be consort or something to sort of soften that. Otherwise, I like Alistair being king because it just kind of feels like our side is winning because we get our boy on there, but it's not really best for him.
See, I like making him king because I feel like that's something he would want when he gets older, to get his birthright and have some connection to his family, because that's who he is. He is the prince. That is his duty, so to speak.
Great point.
So that's why I like giving that to him, because I think he would want it grow when he's older. He's just not ready for it now. So me looking at what he could be was this is who you're supposed to be. This is who you should be. And that's why I make him king. At the same time, I don't think he's great at it.
No,
I'll
not
say
great.
that off the bat. If you make Alistair the sole ruler, they're Ferelden. So Ferelden as a whole, it seems pretty calm, and they're like, oh, we got our Theron back on the line. I'm so happy about that. But he's not. He's especially not great with Orlais. It's really not the best. Honestly, probably the best ruler for Ferelden and the rest of Thedas is Alistair marries Anora, which I hate and I do not do. But that is what's best for Ferelden. You got that match of Alistair doing what he needs to do and stepping up, and then you also have Anora who can help him into that role, and then also she is a lot better at diplomacy and a couple other things that he has no training on.
Mm-hmm.
So then again, I romance Alistair, and I was like, bitch, you wish. So I don't do it for my canon world state, but I will completely admit that, yeah, that is, I do think that is what's best for Ferelden. Yeah.
Totally. We could talk. I'm realizing we could probably talk about each of these characters for a really long time, but we're 20 minutes in, and we're only
done 1.5 maybe. So
I give Alistair, and again, I'm thinking of this within the realm of all Bioware. How's this going to rank against all Bioware companions? So I'm not going to go into the super high stratosphere very often. I'll give Alistair 5 out of 7 interestings.
Okay. See, I was gonna go with maybe a 6 out of 7 interestings.
Okay.
So, I was really going to do 7, and then I thought, well, Alistair has played a huge role in Dragon Age so far, but I don't know if he's going to play a huge role in the future. Which maybe that's not how I should think about it, but that's what I'm thinking so far. Now the romance. What do you think about that? I think the romance is like the classical romance for even the series. Like when you talk about someone like, oh, what's your favorite romance? Like Alistair, Cullen, and like Solis is like probably the 3 top ones that I can name. You know, pretty much everyone has always said, yeah, I really like the Alistair romance. At least that I've heard. Never
romanced Alistair. Heard it's good.
That doesn't surprise me because you're a dude, but I feel like every girl that I've heard this romance Alistair at least has, maybe it's not their favorite romance because of Zevran, but it's at least like they acknowledge that they like it a lot because it is kind of that sappy and sweet, and he's very honest with his feelings, and that it's a really cute romance. You know, it is very cute. That being said, I like it. It's definitely my favorite Origins romance. I don't know if it would be my favorite romance. I don't know if it would be in the top 5 favorite romances in the series. So I would only give it probably like a 4, honestly.
Okay, so not bad. Mm-hmm. Still a good rating.
Yeah, it's definitely good, but I feel like I like a little bit more meat to it, and I feel like that's just that's just Origins. Like they could only do so much, and like you could be queen, and like that's really cool for Origins. But I kind of like I like the Anders romance and that kind of conflict. I guess I like the conflict in the romance, and like the conflict in Alistair's romance is if you're not playing a noble, and there's a couple ways this could pan out. Like either you could break up, but that is resolved in a hot minute with a couple of choices, and it's just kind of like, okay, I guess that was. I kind of wish they dragged it out a little bit longer. Mm-hmm. Like if a problem arises and you have all your boxes lined up, it can be fixed within 2 lines, and I wish it was different than that. I think were it not that, I would rate it a little bit higher. But yeah, that's about it. But now you didn't romance them, so what from your what you hear, what would you rate it?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I can't give a rating if I haven't played. That to me, that's infuriating when people do that. Reviewers that review games without beating them. I'm like, shut the fuck up. What are you doing? You don't know what you're talking about.
So you would defer. You would say...
yeah, I can't give him a 1 for the... Are we going to rate every category? Or are we just going to do an overall? Okay.
I was going to.
Okay, we can. So what did I give? My 5 out of 7 was him as character. I'm going to defer for romance. If I have to rate him on gameplay, I give him a 3.
Really?
That's not terrible or anything. I think that when I have really focused on speccing him to be tanky, he can be an adequate tank, but he's never great.
I'll agree with that, but I also think that he's the best tank you have in your party lineup. I don't know much about Loghain, but like I've never had good luck with Oghren or Sten.
But not if you include Shale.
Oh, I forgot Shale. Okay. Hold on, I gotta re-edit my list. Okay. Okay, no, when you put Shale in there. Okay, yeah, that's fair.
Shale's beast.
Yeah. So I guess because she's a DLC character, I would maybe bump it up to like a 4. I also just hate playing warriors. But I would say he's not bad as far as tanks go. But he's no Cassandra, you know what I mean?
What number do you put for him?
I put 4.
Put 4. Yeah. Voice acting, I think I would also give him a 5. Yeah, I give him a 5 out of 7. I think his voice is fantastic. I think it holds up really well, the acting.
See, I would on both kind of the writing and the voice acting, I might say it's a 7 because I think
first 7. I
know. I think half of I think I'm still going to pick with the 7, even though I think Morrigan's maybe would rank higher than that because maybe she's like an 8, because Claudia Black just is Morrigan. But Alistair's, I think without Teeny's going to kill me because I forgot the voice actor's name. But the voice actor for Alistair, I think, just such a great job.
Steve Valentine. I was also blanking, but yeah, Steve Valentine.
Steve Valentine does such a good job with Alistair. I can't imagine anyone else in that role.
I agree.
And like he just really sells that awkward. Like there's a lot of lines that even out of context sound really good, and you can't say that with everybody. So I would definitely put that in like the best of voice actors.
People will figure out very quickly I'm that one judge at the Olympics. Fucking, I ain't giving out no 10s here. Get the fuck outta
You're
here.
if this was like one of the singing show, I'll be that lady like, oh, it was perfect, it was beautiful, I loved it. And you're Simon Cowell going, oh shit.
I like to think of myself more like a Randy, like, it's a little bit pitchy, bro. It's a little pitchy. Should we talk about Morrigan?
Let's talk about Morrigan. So for character, like I can't. If you try to ask me what is the like, if you can only pick one character to represent Dragon Age, it has to be Morrigan.
So Morrigan,
right?
100% agree. I was gonna say the exact same thing. She is the iconic party member for the franchise.
Yeah, and she's only been a party member once, and she wasn't even in 2. And in Inquisition, she also played a huge role. But for some reason, like and I know not everyone's like thrilled with her, but like she just is the face of Dragon Age for a reason, I think. Because her story, I think it's still unfinished. It's still interesting, and no matter what we find out about the series so far, it just brings up more and more questions about her and her role. And I don't think maybe other than Solus, I don't think there's another character that, as we've revealed more things, that I've just gotten more interested in who she is or who they are. You know.
I completely agree, and I think the Solus comparison is actually quite good. It depends on obviously what happens in the next game. I think they're both going to play. They're both going to be in the thick of the events that sort of unfold the history of Thedas. But yeah, Morrigan is it's a very well-written character. Her ties to the Wardens, her ties to the Inquisition, her ties to obviously her own mother and sort of how that has been at the center of everything happening. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's fantastic. And also I feel like one of the things that I know I'm kind of jumping around to other categories, but it all is wrapped together by the performance. Claudia Black, the mysteriousness of Morrigan, the authority of Morrigan, also in a weird way, the precociousness. I've always said that as badass as she is, there's this hint of naivete in Dragon Age Origins that really cements her as being real. She's kind of like a A student who lacks a little bit of practical experience with the first time she's leaving the wild. And it would have been so easy to make her Mary Sue by the fact that she knows everything and she's super powerful, but they give her this little Achilles heel and that she's never really been out of the wilds before. And I'm like, fucking bravo. It's wonderful writing.
And I think they even kind of follow that up to Inquisition, where her character grows, where at once she was a know-it-all, and now she still has a hint of know-it-all, but she's very willing to admit when she doesn't know anything anymore.
Right. Which
was huge for her character for me. And then also, if you have her become a mother, just so much changes.
We're on exactly the same line of I was literally right about to say that. We're like, in a weird way, motherhood kind of, I don't want to say humbles her, but obviously it puts her focus onto someone else, right? Like another human being is now more important than she is. And again, I think it's brilliant writing.
And I think Leliana actually has a line where she says motherhood has softened her. And I think, yeah, that's correct. It has.
In all the best ways.
Yeah, in all the best ways. And I think that's, I don't know. Morrigan has such wonderful growth. And for me, I liked Morrigan in Origins, but I loved Morrigan in Inquisition. Morrigan, for me, became like a really good character when I saw like how she grew with her son and all of that nonsense. So I feel like if we were just going to judge her in Origins, that's one thing. Like I think with the whole package, like you just have to go, wow, this character, it really does feel like it's been 10 years.
100%. I completely agree. All down to the subtlety of the differences in her design. I would say, again, even the voice, there's something about the performance. She just sounds like an older, more mature woman. Mm-hmm. I fucking love Morrigan. Can I just blow everybody's mind because I just said that I was that judge at the Olympics? Let me just throw this out there. I'm giving her a 7, a 7, a 7, and a 7.
Also 7 romance, 7 playability, execution.
I know we hadn't even talked about the romance yet, but the fact that if you're romancing her and the goddamn dark ritual comes up, holy shit, that's a beautiful wrinkle that has to be considered as, to me, part of the romance, because then you're like, holy shit, okay, it's time to do that, but also you're kind of using me, but are you? You make a great argument about the dark ritual, and I just think everything, again, you talk about the fact that she's this very powerful character, but also in romance, she's a little bit inexperienced and young and naive, and they play that without making her seem too innocent, but they also do it justice to the fact that she's in a territory with her own emotions that she hasn't been in before. Mm-hmm. Again, I think she's a quintessential Dragon Age companion or Bioware companion across the board. I don't know. I don't know if you agree on the romance, but I think she's brilliant.
I would definitely agree with the romance because I really liked. So I've only played a Morrigan romance once, and it was I think the second playthrough I ever did for Origins, and just that meeting in Winch Hunt when you meet her, and like it's like this raw like, why did you leave me? You had my child and then left, dude. What the fuck? And then I don't know, just I forgot the exact wording of it, but she's like, look, I'm sorry, and like the I don't want to like play this play by play, but yeah, I really liked the fact that your warden could then step up and be like, look, I'm coming with you. I love you, and I love whoever our child is that I haven't even met yet, and I just want to be there for my family. And you don't see that very often in games.
No, that's
at
wonderful.
least I think
so.
Yeah,
it's
so
brilliant.
it kind of melted my little heart that you could become a father, and then like saying, no, I want you, and I want my son, I want my family, and I was like, oh,
that's one of my favorite moments in any Bioware game ever. Again, in that DLC, when she tells you, she gives you her reasoning. She's not, she probably shouldn't have done it, but she's not totally crazy for having done what she did. She had her reasons. Yeah. But when you throw down and you're just like, well, yeah, but like you said, I love you. This is my kid. Like, I want to be with you. She's like, oh shit. And you just kind of, I don't know. I think it's great that option is given to the player and that it works.
Mm-hmm. And then also how she talks about the warden is so cute in Inquisition.
Agree.
Like that one line when you get a letter from, you get a letter from the warden, and like he gives a personal letter to Morrigan. And then she says a line of like, yeah, I was really excited to get his letter, and just saying that, I know he's just smug with satisfaction. Like, that speaks a lot to, like, how their relationship works, and, like, that, it works really well, because I don't know, that's...
Even though the warden is not there, the way that I always felt in Inquisition, if you had romance Morrigan, is that the warden and Morrigan are kind of like mom and dad of the series.
Yeah, I can feel that.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. So, I guess, I love Claudia Black, so Execution, I have to give that a 7 because I adore her. Character, yeah, she's kind of a bitch, but that works. I agree with the 7. The romance,
You like the friendship, I know.
I definitely really like the friendship, so which isn't quite the romance, but I'm between a 6 or a 7, but like I can't. Yeah, I think I'll have to go with the 7 on the romance. The playability, people saw my playthrough of Dragon Age Origins, and mages are OP. And Morrigan starts out with the beginning of the OP mage build. So she is automatically probably one of the best characters you can have in your party. Her, and then Wynne, and whatever 2 other characters that are just cannon fodder. Like, you can just destroy things. If you're playing a mage and you're with Morrigan, and maybe so you, Morrigan, Wynne, and Shale can just fuck shit up.
It's absolutely. I mean, we even mentioned it on our Too Many Mods Claude playthrough of just like, you gotta have Morrigan. She's essential to, especially if your character's not a mage, you have to bring Morrigan. I think that's why I gave her a 7, because she's just one of the most bulletproof. Every party alignment, almost whatever build you want to make, unless you want to make a total elemental mage yourself, you pretty much include Morrigan no matter what.
Pretty much, and then you could also like give her a couple of Wynne's abilities, and she can kind of be the healer / tank. Like she could be extremely useful. So yeah, I would agree. Yeah, this is our first perfect score. Congratulations, Morrigan Dragon Age. You won our game
I'm
already.
Seriously, I don't want to jump ahead of myself. I can guarantee you 4 7s is. I'm not going to do that very often.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, let's go to Sten. Because I can't imagine he gets a full 7.
But wait, what about Leliana? Did we grade Leliana? We talked about her, but we didn't grade Leliana.
We can grade Leliana now. I just, in the list I wrote, it was Sten and Leliana. But yeah, let's just do Leliana, because we've already talked about it halfway. So I think character we've already talked a lot about.
Mm-hmm.
So we might as well just go into the score. What do you think?
Leliana is quite good. I'm kind of torn. Do you know off the top of your head what you would go for character?
So I think it is definitely in the good category, but I don't think it's the most amazing. So I will also say I'm not a huge fan of her personality in Origins. I think she gets a lot better in Inquisition. So I feel like I would rate it a 5 because of my own personal tastes.
Yeah, you see, the thing is, that's why I was so torn. I'm kind of at like a 4 or 5 range, but I gave Alistair a 5, which I think is it's indicative of the fact that I like the character, but I'm also like, do I like Leliana as much as I like Alistair? This is going to sound weird. I guess overall for her character, I'm going to go with a 4.
Okay.
I could totally see a 5, but I just think you're right. There's a bit of her character in Origins as we see her, where you're right. She gets a lot more interesting in Inquisition.
Yeah.
So,
which I know, like, we're kind of judging in the future, but I don't think her personality in Inquisition wins over. Like, I don't think it gives enough credit to move it up into a new category number. For me, at least.
yeah, oddly enough, I'm going to give the romance a 5, and I don't know if I can quantify that appropriately enough. I think there probably is a little bit of just subjectivity, because I think I romanced Morrigan first, Leliana second, on my second playthrough, and so I just quite liked. I think she's a bit sweeter in Dragon Age Origins, and I'm not saying necessarily that is the only way to make a romance better, but you can kind of, I don't know, I just kind of buy the fact that her and the Warden would hit it off.
Mm-hmm. So I maybe it's just me and the way I was playing, but I've romanced Leliana twice. Once as a woman, or well, I guess specifically a female dwarf castless, and then once as an elven male mage. And I feel like I liked her romance a lot more as a woman than I did as a man. Because for some reason, I just felt a bit manipulated as a man. Maybe like I'm not obviously not a guy, so maybe I just read into it weirdly. But like some of like the flirting lines, I'm like, I feel like this is a little much. I don't know, maybe that's just me though. So like as a woman, I thought she came off more friendly and more like sincere. Where she's like, "Oh, I like your hair," and she's like, "Oh, thanks. I just brushed it today." You know, like I don't remember that line as a male either. But like I feel like.
You know,
that works better.
That's a really good point. I have to change my score because when you mentioned some of that stuff, I remember that now, and I do remember thinking the exact same thing. Where my nostalgia tells me that I really like that romance, but I bet if I play through the whole thing now, some of it falls into that. It was 2009, and romance in RPGs hadn't gotten that good yet.
Mm-hmm. And
so a little bit of it was really sort of like, haha, giggle, hair twirl, flirt. Like, she comes on a bit strong. I wouldn't say Liara strong, but in Mass Effect 1. But it's a little bit of that. And just because I don't think that that's peak romance subplot writing, I'm going to change it to a 4.
Okay. See, I was going to judge it based on the best, which was, for me, the female romance. So I was going to give it a 5 because I did like it overall, but it's... You know what? I'm going to change that answer because I just realized I gave Alistair a 4, and that's not... I definitely like the Alistair romance. So I guess I'm going with a 3 then. Shit, never mind. All right. Because I trying to like compare it and get my seal. I did like the Leliana romance, but I did like the Alistair better. And if I gave Alistair a 4, I have to give Leliana a 3. So there we go.
Yeah.
Well,
ditto.
Whoops.
I'll say gameplay wise, I'm going to give her a 3. I've never found Leliana in combat to be all that useful. She can pick locks, so I think that there's usefulness to her. There's versatility in that sense, so she's definitely still useful. But I never have found her to be like, oh, she's really killing it in combat ever.
See, I was going to give her a 4 because of the lock picks, and I agree with you with the combat, and it's also really weird. Like, I'm pretty sure when you get her, she comes with bow abilities, but then she only has daggers. Right. So it's like, all right, come on, guys. Also, the bow abilities are bullshit.
They're
so
awful.
You pretty much, yeah. So it's. I feel like that's less Leliana's fault. Which I mean, like it's the playability parts, whatever. But like, yeah, it is kind of annoying to have like, okay, let's have a couple bow abilities that I will never use because I have to spec you as a dual daggers because bows are terrible in this game. But I pretty much always brought her everywhere because Zevran, you get him so late in the game, and he doesn't lock pick very well. So it's just Leliana's my go-to rogue. So yeah, I guess I would rate her a bit higher. Execution, I think the writing's pretty good. Like I don't remember. There's no like line in my head that like sticks with me in Origins. Inquisition, I think, is another story. But I like the voice actress for Leliana, but like she doesn't. I think it's kind of unfair because for me, Morrigan, Claudia Black is Morrigan, and then like the Leliana actress, like she is very good, but like it's I don't know, I guess it just kind of is.
I give it a 4. And again, to me, 4 is a good score, right? I give something a 4 if I like it. I like the fact, I like Corinne Kempa, I like the actress. I think that it's an interesting voice. I probably would have liked it a lot more at the time because I found it to be really distinctive. I don't know that it has, again, aged as well as I would have liked, but it's a good voice. Like it's distinct. You know Leliana by hearing Leliana. You can pick it out of a lineup of different characters. Yeah. But some of the moments they're a bit on the nose, right? So as far as that writing and acting standpoint, it could use with a little more nuance. That's totally there in stuff like Inquisition, not really there in Origins. So I'd give it a 4.
You know, I'll agree with that, honestly. I'm going to put a 4 too. All right, so Sten. Sten's kind of boring.
Here we go.
Yeah, he's all right. I think his friendship arc is heartwarming because the guy that doesn't want to talk to you now is all right with you, and that can be kind of fun. But that's kind of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, he is our entryway into the Qunari, and I think as far as that goes, he's terse. He's sort of oddly perplexed and frustrated by why you have questions that to him seem apparent. I think that's a little bit of meat to chew on. You can go through that the first time and go, interesting. These Qunari folks are quite different. It doesn't really go beyond. It doesn't go much further beyond that, and I think that is the one perhaps most valid criticism of early Bioware companion writing in both Mass Effect and Dragon Age is that characters end up being sort of the prototype of whatever group they fit into.
Yeah.
And Sten is one of those early examples of that. Again, I can tell you right now, I'm not going for a high number when it comes to Sten on character.
Yeah, I think I would go like 2 or 3. I can't choose between the two right now. What would you do?
I'm going 3 just because, again, I do feel there's something there that when I think about it, especially the first time, I'm like, well, I did technically enjoy that of sort of learning about the Qunari or trying to. And I thought it was novel that you have this character where even at that point, Bioware games are like, hey, let me tell you about my backstory. And when you go to Stan, you're like, well, why don't you tell me something about yourself? He's like, why? He says, yeah. I'm like, oh, that's kind of subversive. There's that little bit there that makes me give it a 3, and that's about it.
Yeah, see, I was actually kind of leaning towards the 2, and then you said, like, he does kind of open up, he does kind of open up a new world, and it's kind of like, oh, there's other worlds out there. So, like, it was kind of interesting. All right.
You could still give him a 2. You can be the Russian judge on this one.
Russian judge? No, like, because you're right, because, like, there was something in the very, if you friend Sten at the very end, I appreciated that. And I think that plus what you said, I think it just barely inches it to a 3, but it's like pretty damn close to me.
I feel you on that one for sure. I will say, I think one of the most interesting things about Sten is his opening, that premise of like, this guy killed a whole family. He killed children. He doesn't deny it. He didn't try to defend himself. He's completely resigned to the fact that he's going to die. But there's this element of like, well, if we bring him with us, it's almost a suicide mission. And at least isn't that in some sense better than just letting his life be wasted? It's a very interesting premise. And I don't know that they ever fully pay off on it, which is another reason for the lower score.
That's what I'm saying. Because like they just kind of forget about it and be like, hey, remember he murdered an entire family.
Right. Had they paid off on that, that goes up to a 4 or something like that, right? But for me, it's got to be at least a 3 because they didn't pay off on it.
Yeah, that would be something I would really like to see. Like, wouldn't it be fun if you're you have to fight the Aeroshock? Can you yell? It's like, hey, remember that time you killed an entire family and it like mentally hurts them or something?
No, I don't know. It would be worse if you just like, no.
He's like, I don't know which one.
Be more specific.
Okay, yeah, but that would be scary, yeah. Like, you're like, oh,
well,
fuck.
It would be scary for most people. That'd be fucking hilarious to me.
I would laugh.
That would be the most Sten thing ever if it was just like, do you remember? It's like, especially if it's like really dramatically voice acted by whoever the protagonist is, and it's almost like that. It's almost like that line of the Aeroshock in Dragon Age 2, where it's like this long, slow like zoom into Sten's face, and he's like, no.
Okay, yeah, that would be pretty good. Playability, I'm gonna give this motherfucker a 1 because you know what? Maybe if I'm still gonna give him 1. That like DLC where he has that book that can raise people, I think that makes him twice as effective as he once was. No. He is so squishy, and he's not only is he squishy, he also like is a two-handed warrior, which is really slow, and so he hits hard. But when he isn't hitting, he's getting fucking murdered. So he gets maybe 2 or 3 good hits in, and then he's dead.
Yeah.
I know half of that's like how I spec him or whatever, but I feel like everyone has a story of how squishy Sten is, right?
So we now have this. We have our first one, and I am literally trying to think about like. To say that we're going to use the whole scale, we have to use the whole scale, which means there have to be some ones. And I'm literally trying to think about like what is a 1. And I know that there is one character, and I'm talking about all Mass Effect, all Dragon Age. I know there's one character that I'll give a 1 to for gameplay. And I'm trying to use that as a comparison, and I'm going, I was going to say 2 or 1 as far as gameplay, because I agree, Sten is almost useless. I'm trying to think of it from a comparative standpoint of like who's worse than him for sure. Fucking A. I was going to say 2. I think you're right. I think I got to give Sten a 1. He's just not, I never want to bring him ever.
Yeah. Yeah. I think during my canon playthrough, I only brought him when I thought he would say something cool. And then I also definitely felt like he would hinder the party.
Like, he doesn't do enough damage, he can't tank effectively, and you're right, he's slow.
Yeah.
So he's slow, not powerful, and squishy. I gotta give him a 1.
Yep. The execution, I actually think he was, like, the actual words, the character is well developed. And I think the voice actor actually did a really good job. So I'll give him, like, a 4 for that. Like, it wasn't, I don't think it's, like, as, life-changing or whatever as Morrigan's. But yeah, I thought his voice actor and the writing was actually fine. So I'm like, yeah, 4. The best part of Sten was probably the voice actor and like the how he could be both calm and angry at the same time.
Yeah, no, I agree. I give Sten a 4 also. I think that it could have easily fallen into if you take like a simple direction, like if you're giving an actor direction of like, well, make him kind of monotone or kind of subdued, it could easily get into a boring type of monotone, but it's not that at all. It has just enough cadence, and he's actually funny, and so he's got like a dry humor. I'd give it a 4 also.
All right. Let's go to Wynne then. So for Wynne, I really like Wynne because I liked that grandmother type of character for whatever reasons. But I totally get people do not like her because she's a grandmother character and because she, like, especially if you romance Alistair or really anybody, she's like, hey, you're trying to save the world here. Maybe don't get too preoccupied who you're fucking.
Yeah, she's not wrong, actually.
Yeah, that's the thing. She's not wrong. I actually don't think Wynne is definitely a very wise character, and I think she does have a lot of good things to say if you listen to her. And she definitely had, but I think when you look into her backstory, like I also like that she definitely had that flawed beginning of like she had to give up her son, and she chose her place in the circle rather than her son and her lover, who I think is Gregor, but that's another story. She wasn't a very good mentor at one point. She had to learn to become that, and she always had that guilt of an Aaron. Like I really like Wynne's character, so I think I would probably give her like I like it enough to probably say a 6.
Oh, you're going high on Wynne.
Yeah, I'm going high on her. I really like her.
I really like her too, and I'm very conflicted about this, but I'm going to give her a 4.
Okay.
And to tell you the truth, there's a part of me that even considered giving her a 3. And it's just weird because like I have so many good things to say about Wynne. You said a lot of it. giving up her son. She's conflicted. She's a character with a past. I love older characters that have actually lived a life, and it affects them. It affects who they are. It affects the advice that they give you. If you embrace Wynne as a mentor character, I think it's I think she's more of like maybe what Duncan is positioned to be than Duncan. Now, granted, part of that is time because Duncan dies, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Duncan doesn't get to do that with you, whereas Wynne does. She's a character who's lived a life. She realizes she's not the star of the show anymore. She wants to play the mentor role. There's so many good things that I can say about Wynne. She has regrets. You get to delve into what some of those regrets are and help her with them in Origins. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing. I still kind of forget about her sometimes.
Really?
Yeah, and it's weird because even as we were talking about her, I'm like, Sten, you were like, Sten, I'm like, oh yeah, who are we going to talk about next? Fucking Oghren or whatever. And you're like, Wynne. I'm like, oh yeah, Wynne. Like, I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's due to the voice acting being a little bit vanilla. Not bad, totally competent, good in some spaces. There's something about her character, and I can't quite put my finger on it. She does kind of fade into the background a little bit.
Now, out of curiosity, have you ever read Asunder?
Yes, I have.
The Wynne book. Oh, okay. So I didn't know if that changed, because I know I've definitely read it. I didn't know if that changed your mind a bit.
That's another thing too. I was almost going to ask that. Are we considering the books now also? I would say that we should.
I consider the books.
I would say that we should, because when I talk about it being a life lived and just sort of like her whole character outside of just the games, I agree with that. But again, I don't know if I can, and this sucks because I'm not articulating it well enough. I just think there's something about her that makes her kind of forgettable, despite the fact that if you make people stop and go, no, like look at these details, you can get someone to admit that she's interesting. But I would venture to say that most people kind of let her fade into the background, and there's something about that. I'm not sure why.
Sorry, your mic was like, something about that.
Come on, microphone.
I'm not going to argue with you because I do feel like there is, as much as I really like Wynne, the fact that she's technically an abomination is just kind of there and never really addressed. And it does come into play in sort of I don't even say major, because it's just kind of like, oh, okay, what happened there at the end of Asunder. So I guess I like Wynne so much, I'm going to keep my 6, but I totally get your 4 because, I think there is like some parts of her character that's like they could have done a lot more with this.
I will say also, like, I'm trying to make my rating kind of a generalized one. Mm-hmm. So it's like subjectively, I like Wynne more than a 4, but it's kind of like legitimately, This is something about me. Vanilla is my favorite flavor of ice cream. I know, it's so fucking boring. I just like plain vanilla. I can't give vanilla ice cream a 6 out of 7, even though it might be the first thing that I choose for most people. It's a 4. Uh-huh. It's a 4.
All right. See, I'm going to say this mostly based on my opinions because I can.
It's true.
All right. Well, then moving on to playability, I would say, on the other hand, her playability is amazing. And like, because what's the best healer? It's Wynne. Maybe you could spec Morrigan, but Wynne already has all that stuff there. So I would put her as helpful as a 7 because I almost always have Wynne. Because I hate specking as a healer as a mage, so I always have to bring a healer. Having a healer sucks, and I think the basic tactics for Wynne, if you never touch it, and God help me, I can't be asked to touch the tactics, are actually pretty good for a healer. Not very often when I have to ask Wynne to like heal or res somebody. So.
Yeah. Again, I completely agree with everything you just said, but I'm just the Russian judge. I don't know what to say.
Yeah,
I'm gonna give her a 5, which is like, I agree with everything you just said, but for me it's a 5. I don't know why.
I guess for me, like, I pretty much always bring her. You know, like the Origins is so brutal. You have to have a healer, and I don't want to be it. So okay, here we go, Wynne.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so here's a space where we disagree, because I was going to say the reason why I kind of only put it as a 5 is because I found that you don't really need a healer in Origins on normal.
See, I guess I just, because there's no other real way to like resurrect your party unless you spec into that. So if someone dies, good fucking luck.
Yeah.
And I was always really bad at managing the health because I like forget to look. So I needed somebody to say like, okay, you weren't babysitting hard enough, so now you gotta or you ran out of potions. So
that is true. Like she is a plug and play. Like you said, you do not have to touch her tactics. She will just all of a sudden your people just don't die as much because you have Wynne.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like there's tons of potions in Dragon Age Origins for my mind. But you are right that you have to babysit your people then.
Yeah. I also feel like I enjoy playing the game where I don't have to, like, as much as I do love tactics games, I just don't see Origins as a heavy tactics game. So, like, I don't touch the tactics. Half of these potions I'm never going to use, like the ice abilities ones. And, like, oh, do you want to not be affected by fire as much? I'll take it, but I will literally never use it. 'Cause I don't give a shit. So, yeah, for me, Wynne is, like, essential.
Okay. Well, yeah, I still give her a 5. I mean, I still think that if you want to have like a party build with a dedicated healer, she's fantastic. And if you do get into the tactics, you can do some really cool stuff where she's like 80% healing. But if everyone else is really high in health, you can have her be a little more offensive. It's great. I love Wynne.
Now execution, which is like voice acting and stuff, I maybe we would agree here, but she's vanilla. Yeah, I love the voice actor. I think she could read me to sleep and it would be great. I'd still vote her a 4 because it is just like I definitely like it and I think it definitely fits Wynne, but it doesn't blow my mind, you know?
Yeah, I'm going to 3.
Okay.
Just because again, I like the voice, totally competent. Again, 3 to me is not bad. It's just like there's not too much there that I can point to as like a standout thing. The moments that she has as far as how her dialogue is written, you know, again, under the umbrella of execution, it's like sometimes it can be hard to write mentor dialogue in a way that's not too heavy-handed. I know some people think it is. I don't. So I think that that's really good. I can't really recall or like think up a really great like standout blow me away acting moment. So I give it a 3. But again, that's not bad. It's just kind of it's totally serviceable.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go into Zevran then.
Ooh,
so what would you say about Zevran's character?
Oh, he's annoying.
All right, cool.
You and I are probably going to have the major divergence here on Zevran. Zevran is, yeah, man, Zevran. I'm not a fan of Zevran necessarily, and I know he's a major fan favorite. Yeah, I just kind of find that I think of him as one note. I think of him as sort of being on the nose. They wanted a suave assassin dude. They got Puss in Boots doing the voice. Which is interesting because John Curry is fucking killer as the Inquisitor.
Yeah.
No knock on John Curry. John Curry's a legend, but I don't know. Yeah, I just from the moment Zevran occurred to me, he's like, you know, I'm an assassin, but maybe you should trust me also. I'm like, shut the fuck up, bro. I killed Zevran on my first playthrough.
Did you really?
I'd never experienced Zevran until I replayed Dragon Age Origins. My canon is kill Zevran.
Holy shit.
I don't understand. I have never, ever been able to get over the immersion hurdle of this character tried to kill you, and he's like, well, yeah, but like I didn't really want to be an assassin. Bro, I don't care. If you didn't want to be an assassin, why'd you just try to fucking assassinate me?
I mean, I can't say I disagree with your reasoning. I guess for me, it's always like, you know, it's a character. You gotta recruit him.
Yeah.
The lore break of that is pretty big, because, yeah, he does try to fucking kill you. So I guess I get it. But man. Well, okay, what would your score for him be?
Oh boy. This is a tough one. Cuz we haven't given anyone a 1 on character, right?
We have not, no.
God damn, would I really rank him as a 1? I'm really trying to think of, is there a moment where I liked Zevran?
Ooh. And have you ever romanced Zevran?
No, because I don't like creeps.
Okay.
I don't, like, can we just be honest? I probably shouldn't say this.
Oh, no.
If anybody was going to get Me Too'd from the Dragon Age universe, it'd be that guy, right? It's
No!
totally, it's that fucking guy.
No.
All right, anyway, Zevran, I don't know. What?
Well, okay, I have to defend my boy now. Maybe you already cut this out, but it's fine. But Zevran, I think you also have to take into account the time frame at when this is written. And when this was written, that wasn't unacceptable behavior. It is now. We're gonna have the exact same conversation when we get to Oghren too. Like, I think Oghren would be more likely to have the Me Too thing than Zevran would, because Zevran, if you turn Zevran down, he's like, yeah, okay, that's fine, no big deal.
No, there's no way.
Oghren, when you joke about, like, you just talk to him, he's like, oh, you want a piece of this sweet ass, you know? Like,
I just felt like every time you talk to Zevran, he's trying to seduce you, and it's just a little bit weird.
Well, it's definitely weird today, but I feel like back then I feel it's more like a playful seduce, and if you say no, he's like chill. I just view it so differently, which is so weird because, like, I feel like as a woman I would be creeped out by that, but I'm definitely not creeped out by Zevran. I don't know what that says about him, but like, no, I get where you're going for, and I totally see how someone could be creeped out by it, but I just did not get that creeped out feeling from Zevran.
I'm still trying to sit here and wonder and go, who gets a 2, who gets a 1? It is very close, and there is a possibility that I might regret this when we get through with the entire series. I might feel like I was too hard on Zevran and change it to a 2, but I'm going to give him a 1.
All right. Now, I disagree with how harsh you're being. At the same time, he doesn't really have much to do in the game. Like, his big thing is he tried to kill you, and then the crows try to kill him. And there is some backstory where, like, Taliesin and him used to be lovers with, I forgot what the girl's name was, and all that. But it is so hidden, and his character, character quest is so lame compared to the others. I think I would put it at, like, a 3 or a 4. I'm gonna, where you were harsh, I'm gonna be lenient, so I'll say a 4.
Okay.
But,
I'll
keep a 4.
I'm a total hypocrite in some sense, because I just said on Wynne that I was rating for everyone, whereas Zevran, it's totally my subjectivity. I can't not. My subjectivity is too powerful. I fully admit that Zevran is a very popular character, and for the masses, I should probably rate him a lot higher. But
you know,
every now and then I reserve the right to just be totally subjective, and for me, it's got to be what it is.
That is fair.
I will say oddly that I'll give his romance a 3, and I know that's going to sound weird that I
thought you said you didn't romance him though.
Okay, so hear me out. I just think that even though I despise the fact that he's just fucking ridiculous elven horn dog who's trying to fuck everybody, I don't know. The nature of that, sort of his sexuality, and it's just sort of like he oozes that. I know that's different from romance, but it's all kind of there, right? And so you get to have this sort of unique experience with him. I'm not saying necessarily for the reasons. There's a surface level reason to call out like the threesomes and stuff like that. And then there's also what I would consider to be, I don't want to say, let's just say more nuanced. Sort of like there's an aspect to his character where that's part of who he is, right? He's open to it. You can have a relationship with him and have all this other stuff as well. I don't know. I give him a small bump for that.
Okay. So what's the number then?
3. I'll give him 3 for romance.
Interesting that you didn't vote either Zevran or Alistair, but you refused to vote any number on Alistair.
Because I feel like I don't know anything substantial about Alistair's, but I'll give a rating to Zevran because I know some things about what I feel goes into his romance.
See, I actually, when you actually read about like what happens in the Zevran romance, especially if the warden dies, I think it's actually very sweet. He is the only companion to stay with the warden, even into Inquisition. Like, he's traveling with the warden in Inquisition right now. He is the only one where if the warden dies, he swears off sex. He will never sleep with another person because he loved the warden so much, which, considering his character, is holy shit bananas.
That's crazy. Wow, I actually didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, he is so devoted to your character, and I respect the hell out of that, so I'm actually going to vote him higher at Leliana. I'm going to give him a 5.
Holy fuck! I mean, the back. I can't. I haven't played it. I feel like I am contradicting myself like a fucking wild man in this episode, because you're right. I didn't give Alistair a rating, but now I'm just musing my thoughts on what I think of Zevran's romance, which I haven't played. But the fact that you just told me that, I think that's genius, especially because it signifies such a growth for him. I'll fucking change it to at least a 4.
All right. Glad I can talk you up to Zevran. I think really shines in his romance. If you don't romance him, I think he's a bit boring. But when you romance him, I think that's where he really stands out.
Caitie, just teach me how to play Dragon Age.
You can teach me how to play Mass Effect.
I don't know how to do this right. Well, let me tell you, you shoot a lot of people out of the airlock. No, I'm just kidding. Don't shoot anybody.
When we get to the Mass Effect episode, this will be reversed. I'm like, oh, let's rate this character. I'm like, I don't know who the fuck that is.
I'm gonna go to bat for my boy on Mass Effect 2. That Jacob romance is underrated. I promise you.
Oh boy. All right. Anyway, we got like 4 more characters, and we've only been doing this for an hour, so we gotta.
Zevran gameplay, 3. He's not terrible. Actually, you know what? No, it's gonna be a 3. I'm gonna give him the same as Leliana.
3. I'll put 3 the same as you because same problem as Leliana, except he can't pick locks and is therefore less useful to me. He can make poisons, but even then, like, I don't use poisons in him. So yeah, he's still a 3. Execution. Here's the crazy thing. I also don't like the Puss in Boots voice, but I also think that's not John Curry's fault. You know? Like, what came first? Puss or Boots or Zevran?
Oh, it had to be Puss in Boots.
Give me like a quick second to fact check or something. Because I gotta get this information. Because if Puss in Boots came after, that would be one hell of a character destroyer.
That was Antonio Banderas, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I want to say it's John Curry's fault. That would be harsh. Also, I just didn't like the voice. And I think his dialogue is cheesy in a lot of places. So I'm gonna go with a 2.
2. Okay.
For execution.
What was the first movie he was in? Was it Shrek 2?
I think so.
Shrek 2 came out in 2004. So all right, yeah. Puss in Boots came first. So poor guy was just Puss in Boots. All right, so you're gonna vote 2. Now that I know Puss in Boots came first, I'm probably gonna have to kind of agree with you because like I actually think the voice is actually pretty decent. John Curry does a good job, but it just sounds so much like Puss in Boots that it breaks it for me, you know? Like, it's totally fine voice, but now I just have that such strong association with Puss in Boots that I can't take it seriously. Now, John Curry as Inquisitor blows my mind. I don't know how that's the same voice. But that's another story.
Yeah.
All right, Oghren.
Oghren, this should not take long.
Yeah.
You want to go first? Because I know you have strong feelings on Oghren.
Yeah, 1. He's going to be my first one on character. See, Oghren, for me, like, I totally get whether, like, he was supposed to be the funny haha farts guy, which was totally kind of the humor in 2009, but it has not aged well to the point of being into what someone say problematic. I don't know if I would go like full problematic because I know it's like a time period piece and that's whatever, but I totally get that argument. Either way, I think he is gross, like in the literal sense, like he constantly over drinking and whatnot, and even when he tries to redeem himself in Awakening, he still is just like, yeah, I ran away from my kid and became a warden because I was scared to like do anything good with my life. I'm still going to be a warden. I'm not going to take care of my kid, even if I'll send him a letter sometime. Like, that's the best you can get. I'll send him a letter and some money. Like, oh, thanks for paying child support, Oghren. I'm so proud of you. You know, like, I'm just not a fan of Oghren.
So you're going to go with a 1.
I'm going to go with a 1.
I'll blow people's minds and also piss the fuck out of Zevran fans. I'm going to give Oghren a 2.
I'm upset at Zevran. Zevran got robbed.
I don't know what it is. Oghren is an oaf. He's a dummy. He's not a very good character.
No.
The part of him that was supposed to be a lovable idiot, 10% of that lands for me. It's a very low number, but because of that, there's some part of me that occasionally thinks of him as just being kind of like your drunk uncle. I don't know. A 2, again, I'm not trying to defend him. A 2 is not a good score. That's a character that I don't really like, but I think that aspect of him saves him from being a 1. And also, I'm slightly more positive on him than you are for the Awakenings, quote unquote, redemption. It's not very good, but it's there a little bit. Again, I'm not far from your 1. I would say this is a low 2 for me. It's like a 2 on the threshold of a 1.
Yeah. get that. Now is romance not good? God, what if you could romance Oghren? That would be such a crime.
It wouldn't be great.
No.
I will say that for gameplay, I'll give him like a 4. Yeah, I give him a 4.
I think he's more useful than Sten because I think he is a better tank.
Agree.
But I'm still not a fan of it, so I gave Zevran a 3, and I would say he's less helpful than Zevran, so I'm going to give him a 2.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, because I just don't like the two-handed. I think they're too slow, and I think they get killed a lot. Now, Oghren, I think, definitely works better than Sten, but not by much.
Yeah.
So.
Execution, and this is going to be kind of weird because it's a bit on the high end. I'm going to give him a 5.
Okay, please explain that, Jordan.
I like Steve Bloom.
Steve Bloom does a good job, so that's that. But like the way it's written, I can't. No, I'm gonna. Steve Bloom is the only reason this isn't gonna be a 1. Is it Blum or Bloom, by the way?
I say Bloom. And I think it is. I've said Blum for years, and I heard someone else say Bloom. It might have been him. And I was like, oh, I've been saying that wrong. But I could still totally be. Maybe now I'm wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of the two. we said at least one of each, so we one of us is right. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with 3 just for the voice acting.
Okay.
Yeah, because I do think the voice actor does a good job. Because he the lines that are still funny, he does say right. He makes it work. And I think given in the like if you gave Zevran's like the Zevran voice, I want to say, to Oghren's lines, it would just not work. It would be terrible. So I'll give it a 3, which is higher than 7 for me.
It's
all right. What?
Oh, just like real quick, just to blow up Steve Bloom a little bit more. It's entirely execution based. His dialogue is not really good, but it's not bad in the way where someone was trying to write one thing and then ended up writing something different. It's not like they made a mistake, like, oh, we wanted Oghren to come off as this intellectual character and he didn't. No, they write the dialogue. There's instances where Oghren laughs heartily at his own goddamn jokes, okay? So someone writes ha 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 into the dialogue knowing that you're going to need the actor to totally save that. And then Steve Bloom, in my opinion, lands that plane in the direction that it's supposed to be going. I'm not a fan of the character, but Steve Bloom, I don't think there's a single line where you go, that was rough and Steve Bloom couldn't pull it off. He lands the plane every single time, despite the fact that he's being given kind of crap to work with. And so for that reason, I don't think you're wrong for giving it a 3. I just love Bloom so much, I kind of go higher.
Yeah, I'll get that. I'm going to keep my 3, but I understand where you're coming from.
Ditto.
All right. So next I have I want to make these 2 last, so we'll go with Shale next.
Ooh, I love Shale.
So Shale, yeah, character. I love Shale's character. Like she is. I would probably give her. I really like Shale. See, I would give it like a 5.5. Like she's not quite a 6. I don't want to put points into this, so I'm going to give her a 5. But like it's a very high 5, almost a 6.
Totally.
Because like how many talking statues, so to speak, do you come in video games? And like they wrote her like she's a talking statue. She hates pigeons because they used to poop on her.
Ditto.
And like she calls everything it because everyone calls her an it.
Yes.
Like it's very clever, and I like Shale a lot. And I think like in the hands of someone who didn't know how to write that could have just come off as like, oh, it's a statue, whatever. But they I think David Gator was the one to write Shale. Like he nailed it. It's a hilarious talking statue that's kind of sassy, and I kind of like that it's also a woman because like I don't know, were I writing that character, I probably would have made it a dude, but now it's a woman. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, I get that, and I like the pun when her name was originally Shale with a Y, and then she became Shale, like the I don't know. I like that. So yeah, I would give it a 5. What would you say?
I'm gonna give Shale a 6.
All right.
And so that kind of splits us because you said 5.5. I do also just want to point out that means right now in the running it goes Morrigan and Shale for me. And I really think I think Shale is one of the most memorable characters in the Dragon Age franchise. I think Shale might be at the top of my list of characters that I want to see brought back. I think that the premise is unique. I think that, again, a lot of the stuff that you just named about how it's a statue, it could have become one note. There's this brilliant charm and humor to Shale. She's hilarious in her own way. The it stuff, the pigeon stuff, it's memey, but it's not too thick. I think Shale could work, and I know this is weird necessarily because you're not a fan of Marvel movies, but for people at large, Shale would make such a great Marvel movie character. Like, there's such broad appeal. The humor lands just right. I think the humor has aged well.
Oh, definitely.
Shale is just fucking delightful, despite the fact that she's actually kind of an ornery character in her own way.
Definitely. Yeah.
Her backstory, and when you learn the truth about it, that's interesting too. It actually has a good payoff as to it's not just talking statue like generic explanation. No, talking statue, holy fuck explanation.
Yeah.
And there's this humanity or dwarvenanity, doesn't matter, to her that is fantastic. I think that she's one of the best characters in Dragon Age.
No, I will say that, like, her and Morrigan share this bitchiness, but whereas Morrigan's can actually rub people the wrong way, I have never heard anyone talk shit about Shale. So I feel like Shale has perfected the lovable bitchiness.
Shale, yeah, I think what it really comes down to is just like, it's basically her being able to say, like, I have been standing in this courtyard for I don't know how many fucking years, right? Like, so all of a sudden, it's like whatever bitchiness she has, it's like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I'd hate to be shat on too. Yeah, I would hate to watch the petty lives of strange people I don't know. Yeah, okay.
Right? Like,
I get it,
her unbridled hatred for pigeons is not like, it didn't just manifest out of nowhere. Right? Like, she is traumatized by pigeons.
Yeah, no, it's great. So yeah, I agree with high. Playability, like, I don't know if I would give her as high as a 7, but it's pretty up there. I would definitely go 6 because she is a tank. Yeah.
I'd give her a 6 also. She's kind of OP, to be honest. If you think about the AoE attacks, not only is she tanky, she deals great damage to a wide spectrum. But with the different modes that you can put her in, she can also do high single target damage. Mm-hmm. What more can you ask for, really? Yeah. I think, if anything, they probably should have balanced Shale a little bit more by making her even slower. That might have been a little bit more of a balanced thing. But yeah, as far as gameplay, I mean, and 6 is really high, but I've got to give her a 6.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Execution. Now, I want to say, like, I would... It's very high. I'm trying to look back at my numbers to make sure I want to say this. I think I am going to go with a 5, perhaps, which I think is a little bit on the lower scale, but because I do really like it, and I like the fact that, like, they made the voice ambiguous, so you don't know if it's a man or a woman. It could go either way, and when you find out, Shale's a lady, you go, oh yeah, that does kind of sound like a lady voice. Yeah, I can get that. So yeah, I know it's a little bit of post processing too, which that's another thing maybe we should factor into the low number, but like. I think the voice actress did a really good job with Shale.
Mm-hmm. I agree. It's also, I like to point out, it's Geraldine Blecker, who has basically acted in nothing else.
Yeah.
She's basically
she is only Shale.
She's basically worked as a writer on a 2013 movie called Colette, and she's been in the music department of like some random other TV stuff. It's almost like I don't know if anyone else knows about this person. It's almost like they're not really even in the entertainment industry.
I would almost say, like, did they just, like, if this is someone's, like, friend or relative, they're just like, my aunt has, like, the weirdest fucking voice. I think she should voice Shale. And everyone's like, hell yeah, bring her in.
That's what
it sounds like to me.
The only other thing that she has acted in is a German movie from 1987 called Lock and Seal.
Is she German? Does she speak German?
I guess. I don't, it's a mystery to me. I think it's brilliant. I think that is one of the best acting jobs I've seen from someone who is not acting very often. I think it's fantastic. I'm gonna go a little sort of high here, and I know this might surprise some people. I'm gonna give it a 7.
Oh, okay. I don't think that's undeserved. I definitely higher than I went, obviously, but I definitely good. Yeah.
I think execution is brilliant. I think the dialogue is really well done, and the reason what I think really makes it a 7 for me, Shale is kind of difficult, and I love that in party members in RPGs. I think the easy button to press is when companions are too easy. They're too easy to befriend. They're too easy to give you their backstory. You really have to earn it with Shale. I don't think it's a given that everyone who plays Shale and brings Shale along and talks to Shale gets to the bottom of her total backstory. I don't think I did the first time I played DAO. And I think in a lot of ways, it's sort of what Sten was meant to be as far as how difficult Sten is, but with Shale, it's sort of more delightful. It is like a fun Rubik's Cube puzzle to try and unlock, and that Shale is counterintuitive. Complimenting Shale doesn't always work. Being friendly sometimes makes her suspicious, which is appropriate because obviously she's been screwed over pretty hard a couple times. I think that is really difficult to do without making the character totally obtuse in the way that Sten is. I just think it's so hard to write a character like that, and the acting delivers on it. I think it's pitch perfect. I think we need more Shales in Bioware catalog. Yeah,
I'll agree with that. Now, the next one.
Here's the interesting one.
Dog.
Oh no! What dog? What the fuck is this shit? Obviously, all sevens, Caitie. No, I'm just kidding.
A dog is a companion, and I think they need to be on the scale.
Okay. So well, how are we not going to give dog a 7 for character? I don't know. It's just hard not to. The dog is perfectly loyal.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I go into 7 because I don't think it's like groundbreaking. Like I think Morrigan kind of was, which I know is kind of tooting the Morrigan horn a bit, maybe hard, but dog is a lovable dog. They didn't just say this is your dog. It's a dog. Like dog has some character to him. You know, like it pees on things to get dominance. Like it can fetch things for you. Sometimes it fetch things you don't want to fetch. It does have dialogue with the rest of your characters. Like dog is a fully fledged character. And they could have gone the easy route, and they said no. Dog is fucking in it.
I agree. I give dog a 4. I'm not going to go that high on it, only because I'm withdrawing points because I feel like they really should have done some type of storyline to be like, dog got kidnapped, dog got lost, something like that. That would have given it a higher score for me. But I like dog quite a bit, and you just named a bunch of good reasons why, it's not a 3. So I would say dog gets 4 for character.
Yeah, I was going to say 4 too. For playability, I have trouble on because I feel like I always use the dog mod.
Same.
Where like you have dog no matter what, which like it's just kind of like an extra bonus. Like he's just kind of there. So I can't even remember the last time I played like I had to specifically choose, do I want to bring dog or not? You know?
With that mod, which is the fifth basically a 5th companion slot for dog, super useful, excellent, wonderful. I would give that dog probably like a 5. It's just like a gameplay feature, but that's not the vanilla game. The vanilla game, you've got to dedicate a companion slot to dog, and I almost never did that. So that, I don't know how we want to rate this, with or without mods.
I would say without mods, because that's how it's intended.
Then I've got to give him a 3 for gameplay, which kind of sucks, because he's not bad, but he's just not better than anyone else. Well, no, that's not true. I'd take him over Sten.
Same, but there were so many other characters. I was going to go 2 for pretty much the same reasoning, because, I would definitely take dog over Sten, but you know what? Maybe I wouldn't, because at least Sten would say, dog is just going to bark and be cute, while Sten actually has some story behind him.
Interesting.
Because, like you said, dog doesn't have a companion quest. If dog had a companion quest and, maybe, had a little bit more to say other than growling and whatever, which can be cute and fun.
But do we rate that in the gameplay category, though?
But I guess, that's my... I don't know if I would rate it in the gameplay category, but it is coming into my factor of whether I would bring dog or not.
No, same. You're right.
So I guess I'm sticking with my 2, which is low. I would definitely, for just plain fighting, I would choose him over Sten. But because of the story factor, I generally don't.
How interesting. I'm gonna go with a 3, but it could be a 2 just as easily. I get where you're coming from.
Mm-hmm. Execution, I don't know, it's a dog, I guess it's fine. I think the dog, having a dog, the dog barks, it's the same bark every time for the most part. And with Jinx, barks vary. There's the I want your attention bark. There's the take me outside bark. There's someone fucking outside bark. There's different types of barks, you know what I mean? So this is going to be really weird to say, and I also know that David Gator. Actually, I don't know who wrote Dog, but he was at least the lead writer of this.
I swear, I thought you were going to say David Gator did the barks, and I'm like, no way.
No. Like I think most of the writing people are, or at least at the time that I know of, are cat people. Which, no offense, like it's definitely a dog written by a cat person. I feel like. Oh,
interesting.
Like it's like maybe that's also just the resources. Like they couldn't have like different types of barks and different things. Like it's. I don't know, but I as much as I really like Dog, I do wish it was done just a little bit differently. So I'm going to go with a 4.
Yeah, I'll give him a 4 also.
Okay, cool. All right, now it's the one you were actually talking about was interesting, which is Loghain.
Here we go, people.
Here we go. We've been doing this for an hour 30 minutes. I don't know how much is actually going to get into the final cut, but let's do this for another 30 minutes.
Loghain. Holy crap. I'll just throw this out there just so we can set the bar appropriately. I'm going to give him a 6 on character.
Okay. Well, you had to give your reasoning. Why?
Okay, I was going to see if you wanted to just say, like, I kind of want to know off the bat, where are you thinking? Are you going high?
I would definitely go higher. I guess we are factoring in novels, right?
I'm factoring in his whole character, yes. Okay.
Because I feel like I obviously... You know, if you play Origins first, like who reads the books and then plays the game? Nobody. Play Origin first, like, man, this guy's a big old asshole. And then you read the books and you're like, oh no, I like him. What?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck. I really liked his character art, especially in the Stolen Throne, where he comes out as like completely different than when he is in the main game.
Yeah.
And then like seeing where he is there, and then you essentially see Loghain become the man that you meet in Origins.
Right.
And it's totally an understandable character progression. And in that setting, Loghain is the good guy, and that works. And you can see where that personality and mindset, but when everything changes around him and he doesn't, how destructive that can be. And that is such a great character arc that if I gave Wynne a 6, I have to give him a 6 too. So yeah, I'm going to give him a 6. I would even say a high 6, borderline 7. Because it is a really great story.
He's wonderful. For so many of the reasons that you just stated, his background, Loghain is really a hero in Ferelden. He's a patriot.
For a good reason,
he loves his country. He's willing to sacrifice everything for his countrymen to keep his home safe.
And anyone.
Yeah.
Including himself.
His family, like anything. Anything. And it is a non-trivial example of a hero that sort of becomes a villain. I think that they wrote something quintessential. I think that they wrote something that 20 years from now, 30, any amount of time, you could use Loghain as a character study of a classic hero who was pushed so far in his aims that he sort of becomes a villain.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's wonderful storytelling. I think, and also in addition, it's just like, he is the bad guy, essentially. The Archdemon's not really the antagonist, even though that's the end boss or whatever. Mm-hmm. Loghain is the bad guy in the game, and he can become your ally. He can join your party. I wish that happened more. I wish that, in all honesty, I thought that should have happened with Zevran in Mass Effect. I think if you really look at it, and I don't want to get too much into talking about Mass Effect, we can talk about that during the Mass Effect episode, but I think that in a lot of ways, I almost thought that was going to happen because Zevran has that moment of lucidity. I thought that would have been great. So I love the fact that they did it with Loghain. And it also doesn't feel, if you conscript him essentially into the Wardens, it doesn't feel cookie cutter. It doesn't feel like Mickey Mouse, like, oh, we wanted to, subvert your expectations. And so we forced the bad guy to be here. No, it is rooted in the fiction that you do this. I just think he's completely unique in that respect amongst any other Bioware games. I think he's a 6. I think he could almost, even if there were more time with him, I think he could even be pushed up into a 7. It's really only the fact that he's sort of slotted into the end game that he's a 6.
Yeah, I would say that. I completely agree with you there. So for playability though, like I can't remember what Loghain plays like. Do you? Is he not just Alistair? Like playability wise,
I feel like he's tanky, but I also think that might have just had to do with the fact that I had massive armor on him.
Yeah, because I feel like I've only ever played him with modded armor, like the Warden armor. So like I don't know about that, but like In my mind, I just remember him playing as Alistair had to leave, so here's your new Alistair.
Essentially.
So I guess I would rate him the same as Alistair, which is I gave him a 4. So
I think that's fine. I can't make a strong argument one way or the other because you're right. Like the specifics of his gameplay, I remember trying to treat him as a bit more tanky, but I don't remember anything specific. Like he was actually better at it than Alistair, so I'd say 4 is fine.
Okay. Now that's higher than your Alistair score.
Wait, what did I give Alistair?
You gave him a 3.
Okay, I'm gonna stick with that only because I guess I just remember Alistair dying more. I don't know if that's totally.
Right.
I don't know if that's totally subjective on my part. But I just fucking remember a lot of times when Alistair's died. So because of those traumatic memories, Alistair, you keep your fucking 3.
Okay, that's fair. Now, execution, I would honestly rate it probably... I'm between a high 5 or a solid 6 because the voice actor for Loghain did such a great job being both angry and remorseful.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when Loghain gets serious, he gets serious. Like, in like, when you actually talk about his backstory, like, when you finally recruit him, you can kind of tell he's a bit broken a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it comes across in the voice acting. Especially when he talks about, my heart always breaks when he talks about Honora. And, you know, when he's like, what does he say? Like, you'll always be a little girl with skinned knees and pigtails.
Daughters don't grow up in their father's eyes. They're always little girls with pigtails and skinned knees.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful line.
Yeah, I loved that. And he sounds so sincere about that, you know? And I, like, I'm not a parent, but, like, having talked to parents, like, that's totally their view. Like, my mom always tells me, Caitie, you're always going to be my baby, no matter how old you are. Like, that is just such a big parent thing, and for him to say that right when he's about to die, I was like, oh.
Mm-hmm.
So I might, you know, I think I've convinced myself to put a 6 here.
So again, I'm really trying to think. I'm really trying to be careful about this because I don't like giving these out too often, and I'm literally trying to sit here and make sure that I don't give out too many of them. I gave Shale a 7 on execution, yeah?
You did, yeah.
Fucking hell.
You're gonna do it?
I'm really flirting with it. I'm trying to think about Dragon Age 2, Inquisition, all of Mass Effect. Like, I seriously don't want to, because in my opinion, if you throw out too many 7s, then it's not really a 7. You're making too light of it. Is he really one of those best ones throughout the series? He's really fucking good. The thing that I cannot shake from my memory is the Landsmeet. When he gives that speech about how he's fought for Ferelden, and you know, especially when he starts getting angry, like, you know, you may as well be letting the Orlesians through the front door and all. Again, it's one of the reasons why I love the Landsmeet so much. I think you can watch that. Anyone can watch that. I feel like I can show that scene to someone who doesn't know diddly shit about video games or Dragon Age or anything, and that's acting that you could plug right into an HBO series, and it holds up as well as anything. I think his acting is fucking brilliant. I'm going to give it a 7.
All right. Well, with that, give me like a quick second and I'll give you our definitive ranking on that.
Oh, definitives. Simon Templeman, by the way. I just have to shout out actor for...
Simon Temple. What else has he been in?
He's in Star Wars The Old Republic. I know that. Because he does several... Yeah, he's Grand Moff Kilrin, which is one of the main... The Old Republic is the MMO, not Knights of the Old Republic.
Okay.
Well, wait, he's in Knights of the Old Republic. Also, he's a couple of things in Knights of the Old Republic. But I know him from the Star Wars The Old Republic because he's one of the main villains. He's in Mass Effect 2 as well.
Who is he there?
He's one of the Quarian admirals on the Admiralty board. Oh, he's also Archer. He's Dr. Gavin Archer in the Overlord DLC.
Oh, I thought you meant like he was Archer, like the
cartoon.
The cartoon character.
No.
Archer was like, wait, what?
He's Dr. Archer in the Overlord DLC in Mass Effect 2.
All right, so I have calculated the scores. So let's talk about the romance, because I graded it on like people romance and the scores without romance. So with romance, number 1, obviously Morrigan. Then it was Alistair. And then Leliana Zevran, which, to be quite honest, if you asked me to rank the romances, that's exactly what I would do with them.
Okay.
So the overall scores, though, obviously, well, do we want to go from highest to lowest or lowest to highest?
Yeah, let's do lowest to highest.
Okay, lowest to highest. Lowest is, would you like to guess?
It had to be Sten, right? Oghren.
No, it was Zevran.
Oh, it's Zevran because of me. Sorry about that.
Because you gave him such low scores.
Sorry about that, Zevran. I mean, I'm not sorry about it.
I think Zevran was robbed there, to be quite honest, because I like Zevran more than Sten and Oghren, and it was your scores that brought him down so low.
Whatever. It's the 1980 Olympics. I don't know what to tell you.
That is cruel and unusual to rank Zevran below Oghren and Sten. Oh, I can't wait for the comments on this video. Second lowest.
Just chalk it up with the fucking robots aren't people and whatever.
Second lowest. Do you want to guess?
Oghren.
It was Sten.
Oh, again because of me.
Because you ranked Oghren so fucking high.
Oh, with the 5
Oghren
because of
is
Steve Bloom.
third.
Look, that's how I feel about it. Steve Bloom saves him.
Apparently he saved him so hard he gave him higher rankings than Sten and Zevran, despite me giving for me that if it was just my scores, it would have been Oghren, Sten, Zevran. But because of your scores, it's Zevran, Sten, Oghren.
Mm-hmm.
Oh god, that cracks me up. Okay, so who's next?
Then Sten.
No, we already did Sten. And it's Zevran, Sten, Oghren.
Wait, Zevran,
so then after
Sten, Oghren, Leliana?
Dog.
Oh, fucking Dog. I was forgetting about Dog.
After Dog, it's then Leliana, like you guessed.
Yep.
Do you want to know who's after? Who do you think is after that?
Alistair.
Wynne.
Oh shit! See, I forgot about Wynne again.
Just by 1 point, though.
Yeah.
Wynne got a 29,
yeah.
And then Alistair got a 30. And then the top 3 in order. Third is Loghain. Second is Shale, and first is Morrigan.
Perfect. I mean, I would have said, yeah, that's what I would have guessed.
Yeah, I do think Zevran was robbed because of you, and you can take all the blame for that. But other than that, I kind of agree with you.
It wouldn't be any fun if it turns out exactly how people thought.
I guess. But I will say, you fucking did Zevran dirty, man. You did Zevran dirty.
Look, man. That guy, he is a person who tries to kill you and then it's like just quickly, like right after he's done trying to kill you, tries to fuck you. You can't trust people like that.
I mean, I get it in real life, but this is like, I still think you did him dirty. Anyway, we've been going for way too long. So, Jordan, where can they find you?
They can find me at the Exalted March on YouTube, Instagram, Reddit, and Twitter. Caitie, where can the folks find you?
Ghildirthalen on Twitter, YouTube, and that's it. All right, guys, with that, there is Cheryl.